I'd like to thank the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame for this award, great award. Rich, he did a lot of work trying to get me here. Thank you. You got a great team. They run me. A lot of people don't really know my history, even wonder what country I'm from. It's amazing though, and first I'd like to even thank my mother. Quiet. I'd like to thank my mother because my mother was really the one that really started me in boxing. How she started me in boxing? Because I was naughty and she used to beat me. And I used to run around and protect myself, Mom, stop. So she really helped me as well. And I never realized my mother loved me so much until I turned pro. And she used to come to all my camps and cook my food for me. And I was wondering, Mom, why do you do that? And she said she just wants to make sure that I eat properly. So that's the love of a mother. And she would have loved to be here today, but she couldn't really make the journey. So, I have to say, Mom, I love you. Wish you were here. And I knew you wanted to make it. Also want to big up my trainer, which is passed, is gone away. And let me tell you about this man. His name's Arnie Beam. When I first went to Canada, he was one of the first guys to, really focus on me. I was doing all kinds of sports. So I was playing basketball, football, on the wrestling team. After school, he used to tell me, well, come boxing. And if I didn't come for a couple days, he would come and look for me and said, come on, come boxing. So he spent the time with me, which I needed because, I was doing other things, had some bad friends, but anytime there was a situation where I could have got in trouble, I always heard my mother in my head, and I didn't want the police to come to my mother and say, oh, he's been a naughty boy, because my mother would deal with me a lot different than the police or anybody else. So again, I thank my mother and my trainer, Arnie Beam, who bought me my first headgear and my first jock. I said, well, thanks. And, he said, if I ever needed any money, because, my mother was looking after me at that time, and it was hard for her, and, she was working hard at the job, and she was looking after a big kid that ate a loaf of bread in 2 days. She would come home and say, where's the bread? I would say, I ate it. At that time, I loved peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and I used to make, like, triple-deckers and eat them. In high school, I was doing other sports, like I said, playing all time different sports until the football trainer said that I was a prima donna. I said, well, what's a prima donna? Didn't know what a prima donna was until I asked a couple people, and they said, well, basically you're doing so many different things, you don't know what you want to do. And I looked at it as, well, I wanted to do boxing, I wanted to play all these different sports, but with boxing, I realized it was an individual sport. If you work hard at it yourself, you can become really popular at it. So, hello. Yo, somebody's making a speech up here. Can we have some quiet, please? Yeah, where was I? No, I realized that boxing was an individual sport, and if you work hard at it, you would achieve something. And I realized as well, boxing really got me to travel. So if you were good at it, I was the best in Ontario, and I made the Canadian team and everything, and I was able to travel the world. By traveling the world, I was able to learn a lot of different things. That's why amateur boxing is so important, especially for us professional guys to really go back and help our amateur system grow these young boxers. And I find that these young boxers need to be governed and trained and tutored. And they look up to us because they watch us on TV, so it's very important for us to give back in that sense. This is why I've elected to do that. I just want to tell you a bit about the fact that I was born in England, but I was raised in Canada. Canada was the country that nurtured me and looked after me. I boxed for 2 Olympics for Canada, 84 and 88. I lost in the 84 Olympics to Tyrell Biggs. And the only reason I lost to Tyrell Biggs is because I didn't have a lot of experience. And experience for young fighters is very important. And the experience factor for young fighters really helps them develop, especially when they get to be a professional fighter. And this is why I've elected to become part of Global Legacy in Canada with Les Woods. Les, stand up. Let everybody see. This is a CEO for the company. We're going to create a platform up there for young fighters to display their talent and young fighters to know that there's people that care about them that want to show them to the world. And for everybody in the world or other managers and boxers, promoters, Global Legacy is here. Floyd really took up a lot of time, and then he ran out. And he said he was the best fighter ever. Whoa, I got something to say about that. I'm the last undisputed heavyweight champion. I feel I'm the best ever as well, and he's right. Every boxer out there should believe in themselves in that way, that they're the best ever. They're the best ones out there. I think that in my life, there's a lot of boxers that really helped me as well. For one, there's one boxer I can tell you, Razor Ruddock really helped me. A lot of people don't know Razor Ruddock, but when I first started sparring with Razor Ruddock, he had a terrific jab. And again, my trainer, Arnie Beam, would say, well, let's go back to the basics. Let's just practice. We're going to develop your jab and make it like a 2x4. So we worked on the jab every day, and made it like a 2x4. After a while, Razor's jab wasn't so Razor anymore. My jab became Razor. When we talk about Larry Holmes had the best jab in the business, he had a good jab, but mine was better. Mine was different. Larry Holmes said he puts people to sleep with his jab, or gets them drunk, and then he knocks them out. I just knock them out. I'm not saying that he had a bad jab, but I'm saying I had a great jab. I had a terrific jab. People know about my jab. I gotta tell you this story. In 1983, I boxed for the Junior Championship of the World. And when I boxed, the first guy I boxed was the American guy. And I beat him pretty easy because the American team had one of the best teams next to the Cuban team. Cuban team was there too. So I beat the American. Then the Cuban I was supposed to fight, something happened to his hand. He broke his hand, and they said he couldn't fight me. So I was happy that I won this tournament and everything. And then all of a sudden, a couple of American guys said, well, you didn't box the best guy on the team. I said, well, who's the best guy on the team? He said, well, he couldn't come. His trainer wouldn't allow him to fly. His trainer doesn't want to fly. So me and my trainer, Arnie Beam, said, who is this guy? Well, he lives up in Catskills. So I said, well, who is he? Didn't know him. We heard he was an animal. Everybody that went up there left. He knocked everybody out. So I didn't feel like a world champion at that time. So me and my trainer said, we got to find this guy. So we drove up all the way to the Catskills, and when we went up to the Catskills, Razor Ruddock was up there. And I said, Razor, how was it? He said, I don't know. And I said, did you spar with him? He said, nope. And then I asked everybody, well, why did Razor leave? Razor left because he didn't want to spar with Mike Tyson. I said, whoa, who is this guy? So anyway, me and Mike Tyson met. Lovely guy. He brought me into his room. He showed me some old fight footage on this backdrop of a sheet, a white sheet, and he showed me boxers I've never seen before. And he told me all about how the different techniques of fighting and how he was really educated on old fighters, and I was saying, this guy's a remarkable, interesting guy. Anyway, the next day, me and Mike Tyson jumped into the ring together. And, I went up there because I wanted to learn and, box. I'm into boxing. And when he came out, he's into trying to knock my head off. So I did my Muhammad Ali thing at the time, and I was like, woo. I was really just protecting myself, but he was coming like a whirlwind, throwing hooks left, right. Man, the first day was rough. Then I realized it's not where you're from, it's where you're at. Anyway, we sparred for a couple days, and it got easier after a while, a little better. Then there was one time, the last day that we sparred, I was running around like Muhammad Ali again, and Mike Tyson was like, he didn't want me to run around, so he put his hands down, and I went, boop, boop. And then all I could hear is, Mike, don't do that! You're gonna fight that guy someday! Turned around, Customado said that. So that was always living in my mind, whether we were gonna fight or not. Anyway, history went down, time went along, and I didn't know if this fight was ever gonna happen. I wanted this fight to happen because, we're the best in our era. People deserve to know who the best fighter is in this era. So, fight finally came around. Now, before the fight came around, I was preparing for Mike Tyson because while I was amateur, Mike Tyson was knocking everybody out on TV. In fact, he looked like a giant on TV. And, I was saying to myself, man, this guy's look like a giant. But we finally fought, which is necessary because when you look at this sport, we're gladiators. This is what we want to do. We want to prove that we're the best. We want to prove that we're the best against the best. And if there's somebody out there that can beat us, we want to know, well, how, why? What is this? Who is this man? And that was me. Very important to do. And I would say I learned a lot going up there to spar with Mike Tyson. I learned that, this sport ain't for jokers. It separates the men from the boys. And it's not about friendlyship. It's about knocking somebody out, getting rid of them, imposing your will on them. Very important. So in my life, I would say there's a lot of different situations that have really helped me become who I am. Even to the degree where, I was born in England, raised in Canada. Every time when I was in Canada, they say, oh, I'm British. When I go to America, they say, well, you sound Canadian. When I go back to England, they say I sound American. So in one sense, people are always asking me where I'm from. I say, well, they'll know where I'm from. All I have to do is become heavyweight champion of the world, and they'll all claim me. So I would say all of the countries that I've mentioned, England, Canada, America, Jamaica, has really helped to shape me and make me who I am today. And not only my mother, my old trainer, there's a lot of different friends, a lot of trainers that have helped me. I gotta mention Emmanuel Stewart because a lot of people don't know that me and Emmanuel had such a great chemistry together. We could communicate with sign language, just look at each other and think the same thing. And the world does not know what a great man and a great trainer he was. And a lot of boxers would have loved to get his tutelage in and learned from him. I was happy that I was able to learn from this man because it's always with me today. In closing, I just really have to introduce my beautiful wife. Baby, get up and let everybody see you. And my son, Landon. Get up, Landon. He's on summer break right now. I promised that I would take him around with me, but I've got other beautiful kids as well. They're at home. Ling, Levia, Leia, and I love them so much. And once again, I like to thank the Nevada Boxing Association and the Hall of Fame for inducting me into this great field with other great fighters that are here today. I used to love watching you, Marvis. Love it. Sugar Ray used to love it. I say that fight was a draw. But thanks, everyone. Mustafa, love you, baby. Every other boxers, Felix, love you. All the boxers I didn't mention, bless. Thank you very much. You guys have a good night.